Hi everyone, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. So this is maybe the 12th video in the topic of construction management and technology. So you can check out my previous videos based on some site planning, billing, as well as contracts and tendering management. So in this particular video, we'll be discussing about the earned value management. If you are planning to do construction management course, or if you are planning to go to site as a planning engineer or maybe as a billing engineer or like this only, so for you this EVM is a very important topic. Why? Because this is the only topic that will help you to assess the cost schedule variances of a particular project, activity by activity, as well as for the whole project. You can assess the technical performance of a project only through earned value method. So in this particular video, we'll be discussing about the complete details of the earned value method, what are the various terminologies associated with this particular method, what is their implications, how they are applicable to a certain project. We'll be taking one very small example also, but just to explain you those terminologies. But in next video we'll be taking one detailed example just for the numerical purpose, an actual case study of a practical project. Okay, so without any delay, let's get started. See, so what is earned value method? You can define it as a methodology to determine the cost, schedule and technical performance of a project. How a particular project is performing with respect to the cost, whether it's overrun or whether it's under the cost. How is it performing with respect to the schedule, whether it's under the schedule or it's behind the schedule. That means whether it has exceeded it, that means the project is much behind the schedule, or the project is on time, or the project is going very well. Okay, so this will help you to assess these two parameters specifically. Technical performance also, but I don't think so it's much required for you as a construction manager. It's basically based on how it's performing in terms of man hours or productivity, something like that, but we'll restrict ourselves to cost as well as schedule. Now, how you can assess this? By comparing the actual status of the project with the planned or budgeted at any certain point of time. Suppose you started the project, let's say in month 1, but the project is of 10 months. So suppose you are in between, somewhere in month 4. You want to assess whether right now at this instance my project is under schedule, over schedule, under cost, over cost. So at this particular point, whatever will be your actual cost, you will have to compare the actual cost at this particular point with the budgeted cost. When do you budget for a particular project? When you start the project, then you plan for the cost, for the invoices of the project, that we will be doing this much invoice on a monthly basis and we will be incurring this much cost on a monthly basis. So that particular budget or plan that you make in the starting of the project, that is fixed. You cannot touch that. So the actual status at any point is compared with the planned or budgeted status. If we are going good, then it's clear, crystal clear. Okay. This methodology can also help you to forecast the project completion cost as well as the expected completion date of the project, activity by activity. We can assess each work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is nothing but the packages in which your complete project is divided. Okay, so this is one example where you have to see, this is not invoice basically, this is your cost. This is the breakup of your cost monthly that we have budgeted or planned in the starting. So this is nothing but your budget, or you can also say that this is your plan that you have done for any particular project. Let's say the project name is XYZ. Okay, this is your project. So the project is of, let's say, 10 months. It's an incomplete budget just for the exemplar purpose I'm showing you. So Earthwork, in the first month you budgeted that we'll be spending 0.25 lakhs for earthwork activity, 0.75 lakh in second month, and so on with some figures till 6th month your earthwork will get completed. This you have planned based on the schedule that you have prepared. Similarly for concrete, you prepared that from month 2nd onwards you will start the concreting activity, and by month 7 the activity will get completed, and so on. Similarly for rebar, formwork, MEP, then landscaping, hardscaping, then external development, then finishing. All these activities will be covered in this plan, and you will have an activity wise and month wise breakup. So this is your budget. Based on this budget, you have to check the actual status. Now suppose you are in month 4. what you will see, till month 4 how much you have spent in the earthwork, and in concrete how much you have spent. For example, if you see here, then here it is 40 lakh. Till month 4 your budget was that in concreting you will be spending 40 lakh rupees. 16 plus 16 plus 8 is 40 lakh rupees. But your actual status is you have only spent 32 lakh rupees. Then you have to determine based on this actual cost and comparing with the budgeted cost whether you are on schedule, you are off schedule, you are under cost, you are over cost. All these items we will be discussing, formulas we will be showing, and we will also taking one very small, very little example of a certain activity. Okay, so I hope this much is clear to you. Now let's go to one very good example. Okay, see, I am taking one example of concreting activity. Usually this EVM is used to assess the performance of a project, but I am taking a very small example of concreting so that if you are done with the basic details you can apply it for a project also. The case may be that you are given the cost of the complete project, or you can given the cost of all the activities. In that case you will have to compile for different activities. Okay, so we are taking one example of concreting. So we know the quantity of concreting, and let's take very small, like the concreting is, the data is given till month 3rd, but it may not be till month 3rd, it might be till month 6th also, but we are restricting the data availability for only 3 months. Okay, how much is the quantity? For first month the quantity is 100 meter cube, for second month the quantity is 200 meter cube. This is the budget, what you have planned in the starting of the project, that for the complete project, a very small project, you will be doing only 100 meter cubes of concrete in first month, 200 meter cubes of concrete in second month, and let's say 400 meter cubes of concrete in the third month. Now what is the cost? This is in meter cubes. Cost is, let's say, in lakh rupees, 5 lakh. See, how to arrive at this cost? You should know the cost per meter cube of concrete. So let's assume that the rate, planned rate is 5000 rupees per meter cube. So now you can calculate the cost by multiplying this with the quantity. Per meter cube it's charging 5000 rupees. It's the cost. It's exclusive of the profit. It does not contain any profit margin in it. This is what we are going to be charged. This is the cost that we have to spend. Okay, so 5 lakh rupees. Similarly, this is 10 lakh rupees, and this is 20 lakh rupees. Now this is our budget, which is fixed. We cannot touch this portion. Okay, this is our budget and this is fixed. Just remember this thing. Okay, now coming to the terminologies. The first terminology is BCWS. What is this? This is nothing but your budgeted cost of work scheduled. Now understand this term instead of mugging it up. Budgeted cost of work scheduled. Scheduled means we have planned something in the initiation of the project and we have budgeted the cost for that particular schedule. That means we have planned the quantities of 100, 200 and 400 and we have budgeted this cost. So nothing, what is your BCWS? It's nothing but this cost, because this is the budgeted one. Okay, so this is your BCWS. I hope you get it. Okay, if you take the cumulative of this cost, then it will be 5 here, 15 here and 35 here. Then this cumulative cost will be called as the budget at completion. Okay, BAC, budget at completion. What does this mean, budget at completion? That means for the concreting activity, when the concreting activity will get completed, that means let us assume that it is getting completed at the third month. So in third month, the cost that we have budgeted for the completion of concreting activity is 35 lakh rupees. The concreting activity that ends in third month should get completed in 35 lakh rupees only. Okay, but let us not assume that the project is of 3 months. It might be of 6 months, 7 months. So we don't know that what is the budget at completion for the concreting activity. We just know till third month that this is the cost. Till third month it will be 35. So just to show, if the example is of only 3 months, then in that case you can say that this is the budgeted completion. But for example, if the project is of 4 months and you have some particular quantity here also, then BAC will be corresponding to the last month. Okay, I hope this is clear. So what is your BCWS? BCWS is this cost. So if I ask you what is the BCWS for second month for concreting, you will say that it is 10 lakh rupees. Okay, second terminology, it is your BCWP, budgeted cost of work, P for performed. Now see, let us take the example again for month 1, month 2 and month 3. You plan 100 meter cube for first month, but let's say you are only able to do 50% of the work that you planned. In second month you are able to do 80% as per planned, and in third month you are able to achieve 100% of the planned quantity. Okay, so this is the percentage achieved. So how much will be the now we know the budgeted quantity. It is nothing 100, 200 and 400. Now what is your actual quantity? So actual quantity will be nothing but your percentage multiplied by the budgeted quantity. So it will be 50, it will be 160 and this will be 400 meter cube. Now you have to calculate the budgeted cost of work performed. We only performed this much. If we perform this, then as per the budgeted rate, how much should be the budgeted cost for this performed work? Now see, in this case you multiplied this rate with the budgeted quantity that we scheduled, that we planned. But here you have to calculate the budgeted cost of the work performed. How much we performed? This. So you just have to multiply 5000 with this particular quantity. Okay, I hope it's clear. So BCWP will be nothing but 50 multiplied by 5000, 160 multiplied by 5000 and 400 multiplied by 5000. So it will be 2.5 lakh, this will be 8 lakh and this will be your 20 lakh rupees. The formula for BCWP is, indirectly you can calculate this instead of going with this quantities and all, percentage completion multiplied by your budgeted cost, I would say. If you would multiply 5 lakh rupees with 50%, then also you will get 2.5. 10 lakh rupees with 80%, then you will get 8 lakh rupees. 20 lakh rupees if you multiply with 100%, then you will get 20 only. So this is the formula. One more formula you can write is executed quantity multiplied by budgeted rate. This formula is not very frequently used, but it will be used in case you are doing the earned value management or earned value method for activity. But if you are doing for project, then you can use this formula. This can be used for activity also, but this is only used for activity, mostly used for activity, because quantity will not be common for any project. You cannot say that for this project I executed this much of quantity. You can always go with for quantity activity wise. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. Now I am removing this. The third terminology is your actual cost of work performed. Work performed. See, let's say our budgeted cost or budgeted rate was rupees 5000 per meter cube, which we assumed in the starting of the project. But when we actually did the work and when we actually poured the concrete, we realized that we are incurring rupees 6000 per meter cube instead of 5000 per meter cube. So for first month, second month and third month, you know that what is the budgeted cost of work scheduled, that we first one 5, 10 and 20 lakh rupees, this we scheduled. What is the budgeted cost of work performed? What we performed with respect to what is the budget. So it's not required actually, but still you can mention it, but it's not required here. It will be 2.5, here it will be 8 and here it will be 20. Now what will be the actual cost of work performed? See, for this you need the actual quantity. So what is the actual quantity? You know that the actual quantity that you did is nothing but your 50 meter cube, 160 meter cube and 400 meter cube. This is in meter cube. Now to calculate the actual cost of work performed, since you did only 50 meter cube, you won't take the budget here because you are calculating the actual cost of work performed, so you will take actual quantities only. So you have to multiply the actual quantities with the actual rate, nothing budget for this. Since it's actual cost, so budget won't matter here at all. Okay, so 50 multiplied by 6000, similarly 160 multiplied by 6000 and 400 multiplied by 6000. So it will come as 3 lakh, 9.6 lakh and 24 lakh. Okay, from where do you record all these things? These things are recorded from your invoices and all, bills and all, you will get your cost. Okay, so this is the third terminology. Basically you won't need to calculate. In the question itself they will be giving you the actual cost of work performed, that this much I have done. Okay, but still I am taking the very basic thing, in depth I am telling you. Now moving to the fourth terminology, which is your variance. Very important. Now here the main thing comes, variance. Variance means your difference from the budgeted, actual versus budgeted. Okay, so variance can be of two types, schedule variance and cost variance. This is schedule variance and this is your cost variance. So nothing, just two formulas. Schedule variance is your BCWP. Now see, since it's related to schedule, so it will only be reflected with budgeted cost of work performed minus budgeted cost of work scheduled. Similarly for C, I'll tell you with the example, don't worry. This will be BCWP minus ACWP. Okay, see, again let's take example M1, M2 and M3. Okay, so what is your budgeted cost of work scheduled? It's 5, 10 and 20. And how much you performed? You performed 50% here, 80% here and 100% here. What is your actual work that you did? Is nothing but the third terminology that we saw, 3, 9.6 and 24, because of the increase of rate from 5,000 to 6,000 rupees. Now what is your schedule variance? See, your schedule variance is calculated with these two terms, BCWP and BCWS. You performed 2.5, basically with respect to budget, you performed 2.5 lakh rupees of concreting in the first month, but the budget was 5 lakh rupees. But since you lacked in the quantities, you could only do 2.5. We are not taking the cost parameter here. The actual cost is reflected in ACWP. This doesn't tell you the actual cost, but this will tell you only your schedule. Why? Because we have kept the cost as constant, but we have calculated this based on the quantity that we executed. So the quantity that you execute with respect to the scheduled quantity will only tell you your schedule variance. Okay, so BCWP minus BCWS. So this will give you negative of 2.5. This will give you minus 2 and this will give you 0. 20 minus 20 0. What does this mean? In third month you performed exactly based on your budget. What was your budget? You performed that as per the schedule. But in first month you were heavily down with respect to the budget and you were minus 2.5. Okay, and this is minus 2. If this number is 0, then you are on schedule, but if this number is negative, then you are behind schedule. But if this number goes greater than 0, then that means you are ahead of your schedule. Similarly, you can calculate the cost variance also, but this will be calculated based on the actual performed and performed budgeted. Okay, you need not consider the BCWS here because we calculated this 2.5 based on the quantity that we performed. This is the budget and this is the actual. So you have to simply subtract this from BCWP. So 2.5 minus 3 will give you minus 0.5. This will give you minus 1.6 and this will give you minus 4. So you are able to see this difference here. We were on schedule because we performed the same quantities, but the cost was increased, so therefore you are able to see minus 4 in third month. But schedule was absolutely fine because the quantities were same, but cost is the difference in all the 3 months because we consider the same unit rate of 6,000 in all the 3 months. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now moving on to the next terminology, which is your scheduled performance index. This is nothing but a ratio of, this is a this will give you an integer value, but this will give you a ratio. How to calculate SPI? Nothing but you have to simply BCWP divided by BCWS. Instead of subtracting, you have to take the ratio. Similarly, it's nothing, no difference actually. This will also indicate the schedule, and CPI will indicate the cost performance index, but as a ratio. BCWP divided by ACWP. So we will calculate SPI here and CPI also here. So SPI is 0.5, 0.8 and 1. Here you can see it's coming 1, that means you are totally on time, but here it's less than 1, so you are behind the schedule. CPI, it's coming 0.83, 0.83 and 0.83. Why it's same for 3 months? Because we considered the rate as 6,000 for all the 3 months, whereas the budgeted rate was 5,000. So in every month we were overrunning the cost with the same percentage, okay, because we considered the amount, the rates of 6,000 constantly for the 3 months. Okay, I hope you get this particular point, very important point. Okay, so now moving on to the next parameter, which is your estimate at completion, EAC, estimate at completion. So how can you calculate this? Nothing but EAC equals to actual cost of work performed plus ETC. What is ETC? Estimate to complete. You know presently what is your cost for first month, second month and third month. You know the cost. You know the cumulative also. How can you calculate the cumulative? This plus this plus this is your cumulative cost. Okay, so if you add the ETC, how to calculate ETC now? You can yourself estimate that I'll be completing the concreting work in this and this particular cost for the rest of the month. So you can simply add your ETC cost in this 24 plus 9.6 plus 3. Okay, otherwise there is also another formula to calculate ETC, EAC, as ACWP divided by BCWP multiplied by budget at completion. If you consider some certain budget, let's say the project was of 8 months and you say that as per the budget my concreting activity will be completed in, let's say let us assume it as 100 lakh rupees, okay, 1 crore rupees. So ACWP divided by BCWP, you know what is your actual cost of work performed. How will you know? This plus this plus this divided by BCWP. What is your BCWP? This plus this plus this multiplied by BAC. What is your budget? 100. So basically you are considering the same strike rate constant for the complete duration, that the variance that we are having right now, the same variance will be continued till the end of the project. Now what is this BCWP divided by ACWP? We just saw that it is nothing but your CPI. So if we divide the BAC of 100 by the CPI, so what is your CPI? CPI is same, 0.83333. So you will get the estimate at completion as 120 lakh rupees. That means with this overrun you are continuing the complete project, you are dividing it by 0.833 is budgeted one, and you will be exceeding the budget, and you will with 20 lakh rupees. Okay. Now the last but not the least is your variance at completion. That means the budgeted, what is the budgeted and how much is your estimate at completion. So BAC minus EAC. How much you budgeted? You budgeted 100 and you are doing it in 120. So it will be minus 20. So you are having a variance of 20 lakh rupees in the completion of concreting activity. So that's all for the earned value method. We took one very decent example, but in another video we'll be taking one detailed example consisting of several activities maybe, or maybe for the complete project, and we'll be using all these formulas. We'll also be seeing the curves of all these things, BCWP, BCWS, ACWP and everything. Okay. So that's all for the video. Do subscribe, do like the video, and also watch another videos related to construction management. Those videos are very practical videos, and you will get the complete in-depth knowledge of all the terminologies, everything that I've explained in those videos. So goodbye and all the very best.